enough shilling. I want to start off today with a little clip of Joe Biden. Let me see. I just have to set this up in a different browser because I want you guys to be able to hear the sound. But you guys are going to love this clip. This is like peak level Joe Biden right here. Hang on, just getting the sound set up. All right, let's listen to this clip and see what Joe Biden had to say.
Floyd's. But even Dr. King's assassination did not have the worldwide impact that George Floyd's death did.
Let's just listen again.
Even Dr. King's assassination did not have the worldwide impact that George Floyd's death did.
Let's just one more time.
But even Dr. King's assassination did not have the worldwide impact that George Floyd's death did.
That's an interesting perspective, isn't it? That's an interesting perspective. And the reason that I wanted to show that perspective of Joe Biden literally saying that George Floyd's death had a greater impact than Martin Luther King's, which I'm not sure I buy into that. But what that says to me, honestly, is that what the woke want to focus on is all of the things that are negative, all the things that are not going well. And in the process of doing that, they like to gloss over all of the progress that we've made. According to people like, well, not even Joe Biden, because Joe Biden is like not even in his right mind anymore, but people like Joe Biden and the people on the woke left, what they try to do is make it seem like we have made absolutely no progress when it comes to race in this country at all since the 60s. That's just not true. That's not true. Now, you can argue that George Floyd's death did obviously have an impact. It caused $2 billion worth of property damage, which the Democrats called mostly peaceful protests. But that's not what he's trying to do there. What he's trying to do is make it seem like that is our current state of affairs. Like nothing has gotten better since Martin Luther King died. And that is just not reality. They try to rewrite history like this all the time. And that's something that I think we need to keep in mind when we are looking at our first story today. Kate Slater is back. Kate Slater is back. Who remembers Kate Slater? Who remembers Kate Slater? I do. We have talked about Kate Slater on any number of occasions. Hang on just a second. I need to issue a vote in the libertarian meeting, my libertarian signal group. Hang on. There we go. They're voting on something rather important right now. So Kate Slater is a woman that's basically like Robin DiAngelo Jr. She has been on so many of our happy hours, most of them accidentally. She's an anti-racist trainer, and she has this Instagram that I'm blocked from, but lucky me, I have many burner accounts on many different platforms. Now, if you don't remember Kate Slater, maybe you remember this from the New York Post. We got Kate Slater all over the news. It was so epic. It was amazing. White Brandeis Dean Kate Slater posts epic critical race theory rant. I hate whiteness. She got reported on all over. Kate Slater was literally on the front page of the Daily Mail because of the work that we all did on Happy Hour, exposing her. We didn't get the credit we deserved, but it absolutely came from us. Kate Slater is also according to her LinkedIn, a current assistant dean of student affairs at Brandeis University. Brandeis University is extremely white. Extremely white. And wealthy. Just saying. But Kate Slater's got a couple interesting posts here that I wanted to talk about. And again, I have to thank Progressive Rising. Progressive Rising is like the Kate Slater monitor. Here's Progressive Rising saying Kate Slater is a younger and hotter version of DiAngelo. Definitely hotter. I will give her that. But Progressive Rising is our Kate Slater monitor. He keeps an eye on her. So let's see what she's been up to. And this is the one that we wanted to look at. She's got a comment here. White folks, repeat after me. On Monday, I will not selectively quote from I Have a Dream. On Monday, I will not selectively quote from I Have a Dream. On Monday, I will not selectively quote on I Have a Dream. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was once one of the most surveilled, slandered, and hunted men in America, and was a pro-union socialist. He also warned against whiteness and white supremacy, rightfully calling the white moderate one of the most dangerous hindrances to justice. Well, Robin DiAngelo, by the way, also calls white liberals. In fact, Robin DiAngelo's entire last book was all about how white liberals are like the worst racists in the world. That was literally what her book was about. She called it Nice Racism. It's about how white liberals are the most racist people that have ever been in the history of people. Hang on. The colorblind. Wait, hang on. Where did I leave off? The colorblind whitewashing and distortion of MLK's radical visionary work was recently described by Ibram X. Kendi as a second assassination. So what does this mean? The colorblind whitewashing and distortion of MLK's radical visionary work. So critical race theorists, they do not like when people like us, people who are against critical race theory, they do not like when we invoke Dr. Martin Luther King saying that he would like his children to be judged based on the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. People like Kate Slater hate when we quote the I Have a Dream speech because what they believe is that if Martin Luther King hadn't been assassinated, he would believe in critical race theory. His own, I think it's his daughter, it's either his daughter or his niece, they actually push on Twitter that if Martin Luther King was alive today, he would be fully in favor of his children being judged based on the color of their skin rather than the content of their character. That's what she means when she says the colorblind whitewashing and distortion of MLK's radical visionary work was recently described by Ibram X. Kendi as a second assassination. They say that when we quote Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, that we're whitewashing his history, that he would not have agreed with the work that we're trying to do to ban critical race theory for real, not what they did in Virginia, which we're going to talk about in a second. But they would say that Martin Luther King Jr. would be fully in support of critical race theory today. So she's got up here, posted his letter from a Birmingham jail, which I do actually think is worth reading, by the way. I absolutely believe that's a letter worth reading. I just think that her framing of this entire situation is very interesting and is very telling about where the woke come from. Let's take a look at some other things on Kate Slater's feed. Let's see. What quote did she have here? What is necessary to see is that there has never been a single solid, monistic, determined commitment on the part of the vast majority of white Americans on the whole question of civil rights and on the whole question of racial equality. Oh, isn't it interesting that Martin Luther King used the word equality and not equity? And I really want to make sure people pay attention to that. Martin Luther King used the word equality. He did not use the word equity, which of course is the word that people like Kate Slater will mostly use today. Now, equality is about equality of opportunity. I want my children to be judged based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. That's when he's talking about equality. What Kate Slater would argue is, again, that Martin Luther King would be in favor of equity today, which equity is equality of outcome, not equality of opportunity. This is something that truth impels all men of good will to admit. I don't disagree with any of that, but let's read what Kate Slater had to say about that. Large segments of white society are more concerned about the tranquility and status quo than about justice, equality, and humanity. White people today and every day is a day to take stock of our activism and action or inaction. How do we continue to uphold and participate in whiteness and white supremacy? Because we find it familiar, comforting, and beneficial. Let's take a look at some other stuff she's got. Let's see. Oh, what to do when you're called in. This could be a really helpful thing for us to look at. White people. So you've been called in. How in the hell do you respond when you act in harmful, racist ways and you are held accountable? Calling in is the term that they use. It's basically like a play on being called out, except what they say is when you're being called in, you are being invited to examine your own biases and to change your behaviors. This isn't about penalizing you. It's not about canceling you. It's just about holding you accountable. Instead of going down a shame spiral, here is an acronym that I've created after many, many instances where I've effed up and caused harm. Okay, so Kate Slater right here is admitting that she's a racist white lady who is one of those people that they talk about causing harm. Effing up is a brutal but inevitable part of white co-conspiring. We white people have years, literal decades, of radicalized conditioning to unlearn. We're never going to arrive at a place where we get it right all the time. So Kate Slater is saying here that white people are born racist, are brought up racist, are socialized to be racist, will always be racist, no matter what we do. We are just doomed to a life of racism. This acronym can provide some further steps for you to follow so as to not cause further harm and to educate yourself on how you can do better. 1. Stop. You can feel like she really does channel Robin DiAngelo. I've read way too much Robin DiAngelo to the point where I'm a little crazy from it. If you guys think I went insane since you maybe found me on this journey for the past 2 years, whenever you found me, if you guys think I've gone insane in the past 2 years, it is probably a direct result of reading way too much Robin DiAngelo. Something broke, something snapped. I don't know exactly what happened. But it did. We need to acknowledge that. We need to tell the truth about my level of sanity. Stop. And I mean stop talking, stop arguing, stop attempting to justify your actions, white people. Stop asking for clarification. Recognize that you've done damage and you need to remove yourself before you cause more harm. 2. Handle your emotions. Take space to process your emotions away from the person you've caused harm to. Learn to recognize the feelings that are hallmarks of white supremacy: guilt, shame, anger, defensiveness, and process them either alone or with a trusted white friend. I like how she enumerates there that if you're going to process your feelings about being a racist, don't do it with black people. Only do it with a trusted white friend. I mean, any friend that you could really trust if they're white. I don't know how we trust anyone that's white anymore. You must remember intent versus impact. Your feelings don't matter in this situation because the impact of your actions has been violent and harmful. Now, in this case, when we're talking about actions being violent or harmful, what we're usually talking about is a microaggression. Who knows what microaggressions are? Does anyone know what microaggressions are? You know what you can do? You can head over to activelyunwoke.com and go to the words section. I'm going to spiff up the woke words section. I'm going to create. So basically, this is not like what James Lindsay's doing on New Discourses. This is like a really kind of like cut to the chase, like biting definition of what these things are. So let's scroll down to microaggression. Any small act or misstep that the woke can twist to claim was based on unconscious bias like racism, sexism, typically a tactic used to feign offense. That should be offense. I need to do a proof check. In order to gain power. For example, if you forget to CC a black colleague on an email at work, the woke will tell you that you committed a microaggression against that colleague. That, my friends, is what Kate Slater is talking about when she's saying that your actions were violent and harmful. She's talking about stuff like that. It's a microaggression. This is where we get into words are violence. They literally believe that anytime you do something that any other person could interpret in the worst possible way to cause the most possible offense, that is a microaggression and it is violence. Thank you, Julie, for becoming a member on the channel. I really do appreciate that. Dragon Water, why do the people obsessed with doing harm always put out this psychological abusive crap? Because they project. It is the ironclad law of woke projection. Oh, speaking of which, Julie, guess what you get now that you became a member on the channel? Guess what you get? Hang on, where are all my special icons? They're not. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Kate Slater. We get Kate Slater icons. Kate Slater, furrowed brow in the chat. That's what you get. These are the type of high quality emojis that you get access to as a member on my channel. We get the Kate Slater furrowed brow emoji. Congratulations, Julie. Use it in good health. Number 3, assess. Where did you cause harm? What was the impact of your actions on the other person? We need to do the work to understand exactly where you screwed up and caused harm in order to understand how we can begin to process the repair. Make amends. If the person that you harmed is receptive to your apology, and that's a big if, own the harm you caused. Name the impact of your actions, then show the person that you harmed that you understand the damage you caused and commit to repairing that damage. Number 5, educate yourself. What are the gaps in your knowledge and understanding that led you to cause this harm in the first place? Put simply, what do you need to learn in order to make sure that you don't ever cause this type of harm again? Figure it out and then go do the work. So her acronym literally spells out shame. That tells you all you need to know, right? About the calling in method. Stop, handle your emotions, assess, make amends, educate yourself. Her acronym literally spells out shame. Oh, Kate Slater. Kate Slater. I missed you, Kate Slater. What else should we look at on Kate's channel? She's got this podcast with Angel, in which this podcast is actually funny to watch, and we watched some of it before, but like it's like Kate's black best friend, in which Kate is basically there just to defer to whatever her black best friend Angel wants to say, because Kate is the white lady. Kate never speaks first. She always has to take the back step because she doesn't want to center her own whiteness in the podcast. It's amazing. I missed our buddy Kate. Let's see, anti-racist roadmap. Oh my god, look at all this stuff. She's got a whole worksheet here. Guys, if you want to have some fun, you can go check out Kate Slater's website. You can check out her Instagram. Let me know if there's any fun stuff that you want us to review for happy hour. We haven't had a good Kate Slater happy hour in a while. But the reason I wanted to highlight her is, listen, man, she really is like the next Robin DiAngelo. She is. I've seen her all over the place. We need to keep an eye on people like this. We need to know what they're doing. You know, she has freedom to do what she wants. She lives in Massachusetts, so as long as she stays there, I'm cool with it for right now. The reason I know her is because she got her doctorate from the University of New Hampshire. That was how I originally started encountering her. But she has moved down to the progressive paradise of Massachusetts, so at least I have respect for that. But we want to make sure we're keeping an eye on these people. We want to make sure we know what they're saying. As long as Kate's staying in her little neck of the woods, I don't worry about her too much. But every once in a while, it is fun to go back and visit. All right, guys, if you're enjoying the stream so far, please make sure you mount that like button for me. If you're not subscribed to the channel, maybe I will earn your subscription today. If you think you're subscribed to the channel, just go ahead and do a double check, because YouTube literally unsubscribe people from my channel like every single night. It usually happens around 3 or 4 a.m. Now, I do know that there's some people who have very strong feelings about me, but I can't imagine any of those people in large groups are getting up around 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning just saying, I have to unsubscribe from Carlin right now. So just make sure you're subscribed. I do content pretty much every single day of the week except for Saturdays. So if it's not showing up for you, just know that it's probably here waiting and YouTube hasn't served it to you yet. All right.